Hi guys, welcome to this geography class. We are going to talk about the geographic coordinate system, and let me show you this. This is a globe. This is one of the Earth representations that we have. This is kind of like the most accurate representation, but we cannot just be walking around with a globe when we want to know places, where we want to know where we are, right? So that's why we have a reference system to understand the specific point where we are. And we have two specific references, line references. And one is over here. This is the fattest part, the chubby part of the planet. There is this red line that is called, it's a very famous line, that is called the equator line. So this line here, it represents and it divides the northern hemisphere going up and the southern hemisphere going down. Down and up are just a convention, but actually in the reality, if you see the Earth from space, it could be the opposite. So we have another line that divides the planet into two hemispheres as well, the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. So we are gonna create a grid, kind of like a grid, using parallels and meridians. The parallels, as you can see here, these lines, the parallels are the lines that are parallel to equator, and we have 90 parallels going up, going northern hemisphere and going into the southern hemisphere. 90 and 90, that's basic geometry, and we have all of those parallels are shrinking going to the poles. The meridians, this is the prime meridian or Greenwich meridian. This prime meridian, it has 180 meridians, but to this part, going to the western hemisphere, and 180 meridians. And if you see from the top, from above the planet, you will see that all of the meridians touch each other, but in the poles. Just on the northern, in the North Pole and the South Pole, they touch. So that means that the meridians are getting closer and closer and closer until they reach the North Pole. Those two geographic points. So 180, 180, and we have the 360 degrees that it forms a sphere. So that is when we have a globe. But what happens when we change this sphere into a flat system? So we can do the same with this. We have a map. This is not the regular grid that you see, the Mercator projection. That one is very famous, and it has something in particular. That projection shows a really perfect grid. But not all of the maps have the same, so that's why I'm using this. I think this is, I don't know the name because it doesn't say nothing about the projection, but I think it looks like a Gauss-Peters projection. I think it's different. Actually, projection is a whole topic next week. So we are going to establish our axis or reference elements, and we have, like we said, we have both two. One is the equator, and I'm going to represent it in the 0 degrees. 0 degrees of what? We are using degrees. We are using degrees. 0 degrees, it divides the north hemisphere. All of this is the north hemisphere, and also the south hemisphere. So we have one of the lines to know where we are. And we have also the prime meridian. Prime meridian. Sorry for my handwriting is terrible, sorry. So we have the 0 degrees. 0 degrees. So I'm just putting, I have four quadrants here. I have an axis to divide. This will be like the 0, 0, right? So you know this from physics, from mathematics, so you know about this. So it's going to divide this prime meridian, it's going to divide east and west. So everything on this side is western hemisphere, and everything on this side is eastern hemisphere. So I have the names of those 4 quadrants. This is like in the general view. You are just watching the entire planet at once. So northwest, northeast, southeast, and southwest hemisphere. So knowing this, how can we establish coordinates? How can we use coordinates? So if I want to know the coordinates of this point, I'm going to call it A, this point A has coordinates, has something that is the distance between the equator to that point, to that specific point. The distance of this, it's what we call latitude. Sorry, my microphone. So it's what we call latitude. So latitude is the distance between any point in the planet according to the equator. In this case, is it a latitude? Is a northern latitude or a southern latitude? It's a northern latitude, right? So I have direction, it's northern latitude. But how can we know which latitude it's in? Remember that I said that we have 90 degrees going north? So I have to check, and this is always what you have to do. You have to check the reference system that you have surrounding your map. And in this case, this is exactly on one of those reference systems. So if I use point this number over here, it says 40 degrees. So I have my coordinate now. So it's 40 degrees going north. Without direction, we don't have nothing. I'm gonna just fix my microphone. That's it. So I have the latitude. But what else do I need? Because also this line, if I'm just say 40 degrees north, all of this line is 40 degrees north. So I need to just cross two different reference, right? And the other one, because this is not a square, like a grid, I have to use the lines that my map provides. Go to know my longitude. I mean the distance, longitude. The longitude is the distance between any point in the world and the Greenwich meridian. That is my coordinate. And that one, according to this map, if I see my reference system, is 120. Is 120 degrees going what? Going east. Now I have a coordinate in my using the references that I have surrounding my map. So in this case, it was kind of easy because my point in the world that I wanted to know is just on the cross of my reference. But what happened if my point, I'm going to use this one for my point B, is not in a perfect line. It's between lines. Remember, imagine that if I just put in one map all of the parallels, all of the meridians, it will look like clumped, like a really huge grid to follow. Would be difficult to follow. But in this case, this point B that is in the middle, I can do the same. Remember that latitude is the distance between the equator and any point on the planet, and longitude is the distance between the prime meridian and any point of the planet. Okay, so I can start with latitude one more time. So is this latitude northern latitude or southern latitude? Well, I see that I'm going south, right? In this reference system, I can just make a line going closer to my reference system, and I'm going to use the numbers. Well, not the numbers, sorry, the numbers, the degrees in my reference system. It says here is 40, 80 could be will be like this. It probably is here, and in between those two, it's kind of like 60 could be 60 degrees. I have 80 degrees here. I got 40 degrees here. So kind of like here, it's like probably like 55. I will say that it's like a 55. I'm just making like quick calculations, but if you have time to look for the map and stuff, it's better. So this would be my latitude, 55 degrees, going what? Going south. So now I have a latitude, but it's not enough because everything on this line is 55 degrees south. Everything on that line, if I'm talking about this, it's 55 degrees south. So I need to cross it with longitude. And longitude, I'm gonna use as well the reference that I have. I have a reference that says 40 degrees. I have a reference that says 80 degrees. So in the middle, it's, I will say 60 degrees. And now I have 60 degrees going west. It's really important to look for your references that are surrounding the map. It's really, really important. And you're gonna get to places easily. There is another one, the green one that I didn't show you. It's another important one. Those are parallels, really, really important. This one here is the Tropic of Cancer and the Capricorn. Capricorn is here. Those are important to understand the seasons and to understand why do we have so much biodiversity on this planet that is the intertropical area. So this is like a lot of biodiversity is there, and actually it's Mexico. It's halfway to the have one part it's in the tropical area, and the other one is not. So using the system, just remember, using the system you can find places in any place of the world. You can know where you are using a map, and we're gonna see next video that the degrees are not just degrees, they have fractions, and those fractions are minutes and seconds, not the ones that are talking about time, the ones that are talking about distance, but in a sphere. Remember that everything that we're using is basic geometry and it's related to a sphere, because we are not representing something flat, we are representing a sphere into a flat system. Okay, so if you have any questions about this activity, just ask me.